这个要怎么翻成英文我不知道，别问我。
Japanese ghost stories.
Okay, cool. We've got our cold open. Howdy there! We are in another episode of Taiwan Talk, where we share the stories of people living in Taiwan. I'm your host, Trevor Tortomasi, and joining me in the studio today is Ann Zheng Yawen, and Dray Yang, two master designers of board games and tabletop experiences of the company Play With Us Design. Ann and Dray, welcome to the show.
Hi.
You can say hi.
Hi.
They're sharing a microphone, so we might switch between them. And Dray will get a little help with translation. But here we go. First off, can you tell us about your company, Play With Us Design, and the games that you've helped develop so far?
So Play With Us Design is our brand name, and we want to make fun and portable games for people to share the fun very easily.
I like portable because there are some great board games and tabletop games out there that they take a whole suitcase if you want to bring them to a friend's house. Ann and Dray today brought 3 games from their company, and they're all very small. I can kind of just put this in a pocket. I mean, if I've got a big pocket.
The weight of our games are mostly light and easier to play. We want to make it easy to learn. You can learn the game in 5 to 10 minutes. And you can play it for an afternoon or 30 minutes to 1 hour, something like that.
I'm sure a lot of people will thank you for this because it's fun to play big games, but sometimes you really only have half an hour to an hour. And so it's nice to play faster.
Yeah.
然后我们的设计师想要设计各种不同的游戏。
Okay, so at this point, Dray replies first in Chinese, and then Ann says everything again in English. Thanks again to Dray for all of his wisdom on tabletop game design, and thanks to Ann for helping to translate.
Actually, our designer want to develop a variety of different games, different genres. But at first, we try with the lightweight ones so people can get to know the game easily. Because actually in Taiwan, the board game market is not as big as in the European or American countries. So it's just a start for Taiwanese people to learn more about board games.
Why do you think the board game market is not as big? Is it just because Taiwan is smaller?
Well, that's one reason. And another reason is it's personally. Personally, I think that Taiwanese people are more into electronic games like mobile games and computer games. And as you can see from people whenever they're in cafe or in a restaurant, whenever they sit down, they take out their phone and start to swipe their phones instead of talking to people in front of them. And I think that that's quite pity because you guys have time to get together, but you don't know how to talk to each other. And board game is a really great media to help you open up to each other. And you have a common topic and you have a great experience to share together.
When you're trying to create this experience, where do you start in designing a new game? Maybe Dray can answer this one. But does an idea pop into your head one day and you're like, oh, this would be a cool board game? Or do you sit and think first about what you want to make people feel and then take steps to design from there?
我们的设计师在设计游戏的时候
Our designer focuses more on the mechanics, while our chief editor focuses more on the stories. Yeah, so for our main designer, Xi Chen, whenever he couldn't sleep at night, he was thinking about how to make fun games.
Yeah, you can't sleep at night and your brain just goes off thinking of new ideas. Yeah.
然后综合这些
so the first step for us is to know what we're going to achieve or what's our goal in making this game. And mainly our goal is to create a fun, interesting experience for people. And I think this step is very important because while you're making games and you're doing play tests, and you will get a lot of feedback. And sometimes these feedback are not really that helpful for your goal. So you have to make sure every step you take will eventually lead you to that goal because different people want different things in a game. But a single game cannot satisfy every single person. Yeah.
What kind of feedback might you receive on a game?
可能会因为没有玩懂游戏，
so sometimes when we try to test our games for the same game, some will say that it's too simple. Can I add something more? And some other will say, well, I think it's too complicated. Can you make it simpler? And a very good example is Cthulhu games. It's a game about exploring the unknown. And the more you explore, the
crazier you get?
Yeah, the crazier you
Right.
get. And the aim for this game is to make you feel how desperate it is when you try to dig deeper into the truth. So you can't really expect a lot of happiness in this game because desperation is what the author wants you to feel in this game.
Right. So when you get feedback saying this game wasn't happy enough, then you can set that feedback aside because you're not trying to make people feel happy with it. Okay.
Yeah, when you get that feedback, then you know, oh, yeah, I succeed.
Okay, yeah. When they say, I feel sad, you say, good. Okay, cool. So kind of on that same note, it can't be easy. What is the most difficult part of designing a new tabletop experience?
在出版的时候，等着美术
Yeah,
把
so
图片
for
画
us, it's a bit more difficult when we try to make the illustration match our game because we don't just tell the graphic designer to draw us like 5 to 10 pictures. No, we actually ask them to come and play this game. And then we think together about how to package the mechanics and how to make the mechanics live and animate in front of our audience. So to us, that's the most difficult part. And another difficult part is how to filter all the feedbacks we got from the play tests. Because just as we mentioned earlier, we have to stick to our goal, but we also want to take care as many people as we can.
You both recently traveled to Germany, to Essen, for a tabletop convention. First of all, I guess, how was that?
It was huge. The fairground is 3 to 4 times big than Taipei World Trade Center. And also during the exhibition, every hotel surrounding the fairground, they will open their hall for everyone to play board games at night because all the hotels know this fair and they all support this kind of activities. And so people around the world can gather here in these 4 days and communicate in poor Englishes and play games together.
So in my experience, getting board games, there's some of them are so big, like I mentioned before. When you came back from Germany, did you have to get an extra suitcase for board games or you all stuffed them into different people's backpacks?
Well, we actually... There's one time when I tore the box and put all other components into one big box and put it in a suitcase. So some of our games don't actually have boxes because we have to carry them back and we don't have that much space.
Oh man, that's awesome though that you got them all back to Taiwan. That's cool. Okay, so that sounds like an amazing experience. What did you learn from that experience? If you have a most important thing you learned?
我们在第一次、第二次去埃森的时候
when we first went to Essen, we were told by a lot of board game shops from Europe and from America that the price depends largely on the size of the box. So for a box like ours, it's
much smaller boxes.
It's a smaller box, then the price shouldn't be that high. But for those European markets, the size of the box is kind of the uniform. So whenever their customers see a small box, they will have this image in mind that, oh, it's a party game and it should be only like 10 euros. And they see a really big box and they will think, the weight of this box is very heavy. It's a strategic game and it should be like 50 euros or something like that.
Are there any games that seem to succeed a lot in Europe, but not really in Taiwan? Or the other way around too?
Oh, I asked this question to our editor last night and he told me that games that can be only played once are generally less popular in Taiwan because the second-hand market in Taiwan is very common. And also people who played board games in Taiwan are fewer, and they will trade the games they already played with other players. So if this game can only be played once, then in Taiwan, maybe only one people will buy this and share with another 10 to 20 people. Yeah.
I actually didn't know there were that many games that can only be played once. Is that pretty common in Europe?
对 ，exit
Yes.
解谜游戏
Yeah, puzzle games like Exit and Unlock. 还有什么？ Oh, escape games. Yeah, escape the room.
Okay, yeah.
And also games that focus more on stories. After you reveal the mystery of the story, then you can't play it for the second time because you already know all the plots.
So kind of aside from board games, there's also a lot of different tabletop RPGs. Like I have played the famous one, Dungeons and Dragons. How do you say that in Chinese again?
龙与地下城.
So we have lots of people maybe in the US and Europe who are playing this already, but it doesn't feel like as popular in Taiwan. Is that your experience too, or do you think they really are catching on in Taiwan?
我们在疫情期间就是
So during COVID-19, we actually recorded a series of podcasts for TRPG. Yeah, tabletop role-playing games.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What is it called? Can we plug it?
它是一个比较日本的游戏
Yeah, it's a Japanese style game.
Ghost Story 这个要怎么翻成英文我不知道别问我
Japanese ghost stories.
Okay, cool.
But the series is not about dragons and the dungeons. The story was written by one of our friend, and he's also a very experienced game master in TRPG. And I think the reason it's not that popular in Taiwan is because this kind of experience have to be created by both the game master and the players. Both parts have to have collaboration and imagination.
And it's really hard.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot too, because I love these tabletop RPGs so much, but then I don't see as many of them. They don't seem as popular in Taiwan. And one reason kind of seems to be that, you know, a Western person would take for granted that Dungeons and Dragons is based around sort of Western adventures and lore. You have a knight fighting the big old dragon. There seems to be so much Western lore in these things that if we don't see it catch on in Taiwan, could it be that the system is cool, but then maybe people want to work with different stories or different sort of adventure ingredients? Do you think that has any effect on what people like in Taiwan?
我们的剧情比较现代
Yeah, just as you said, that would be one reason, the cultural difference in Asian countries, because we are not that familiar with dragons and knights. But TRPG is really a very interesting genre in tabletop games, and our friend really like this kind of game. So the stories he wrote, the story background is set up in a modern background. And there are a lot of...
You see more stories in like modern cityscapes or more modern times that people can relate to more easily here.
Yeah, right, exactly.
然后这些状态还有一些历史背景在里面
Urban legend 吗?
Yeah, urban legends. Yeah.
Urban legends. Yeah, so there are a lot of urban legends in these stories, so people can relate themselves to the stage this game tried to set up for them.
Okay. Well, all I want to see more of in Taiwan is more people making creative stories, using board games for gathering together and putting the phones down. Yeah, I guess thank you for being a part of that evolution of like this medium. Yeah. If you are interested in this kind of thing as the listener, you can watch their website, PWUD.com, for more events and more of their stuff.
And we will go to the Taipei Game Show, 台北电玩展 and Taipei Book Faire, 台北国际书展 in the end of January and February.
Okay, nice. One more time, the Play With Us design games that you guys have brought today are Soloween. How do you say this in Chinese?
搜灵记
And then Conspiro.
生死逆谋
And the last one?
Aves, 羽 means feathers.
啊，
这是我们今年有得奖
Oh, yeah. And Aves has won the Major Fun Award this June. Yeah.
I'll put a link to Play With Us Design in the podcast description. You guys have a link tree with all your different Instagram stuff to follow. And thank you so much for joining us in the studio today, Ann and Dray.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, and Ann, amazing job translating. You remembered more of what Dray was saying and translated each part than I could possibly remember. Thank you to you, the listener. If you'd like to hear more from ICRT, you can listen to full-length episodes of Taiwan Talk wherever you normally find your podcasts. And if you like it, you can help us out by telling a friend. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Taiwan Talk. Until next time, I'm Trevor Tortomasi on ICRT FM 100. If you'd like to hear more from ICRT, you can check out our other podcasts. We've got Taiwan This Week, a roundup of the news in Taiwan every Friday, English in the News for useful English expressions explained in Chinese, and EZ News, spelled with the letters E and Z, for simplified daily news. For some lighter news in both English and Chinese, check out News Bites and News for Kids. And if you enjoy them, tell a friend. Thanks for listening.